Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome. This is Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. Let's start today with what we have coming from our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say, because your say truly does matter. You can always reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom, journalist, public affairs analyst Emeka Madunagu, to look through all that we have. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Thank you so very, very much for the time, as always. Now, let's start with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And we have the big story: Katsina Mosque attack. Search continues as over 50 bodies recovered. Renewed hostility disturbing that is coming from the CDS. And above that particular story, we have other stories. 2027 micro-zoning battles split Southern PDP leaders. That's what we have. And still from the Daily Trust newspaper, we have amidst the criticism, RMAFC begins public officers pay review. Emeka, I'd love us to start from that particular disturbing story, that despite the outcry by Nigerians that have said it doesn't really make any sense, that whilst the nation is bleeding, public office holders are rather so thinking about increasing their pay, their take home, while lots of Nigerians do not have anything to go home with. Isn't that the reign of impunity?
Yeah, you see, that's why we say, thank you. That's why we say that everything rises and falls on leadership. I expect President Bola Tinubu, when he comes back from Japan, to order the agency to stop that, insensitive action. There are other things to do. They should concentrate on reviewing the revenue formula. The revenue formula is currently skewed against states and local governments. That's what needs to be reviewed. How can the federal government be controlling 52.6% of the revenue? I mean, what are the duties of the federal government? What are the functions of the federal government? So if you're talking of increasing the role of the states and the local governments and reducing their borrowing, then you have to do something about the revenue formula. And then, of course, you wouldn't need to be talking about their pay, because why? You see, there are things that there are benefits that will accrue to public officers, and then when you can deal with poverty, increase the value of the naira, increase the purchasing power of Nigerians, you won't need a pay rise. But it's sad that the leadership of that agency cannot draw the nexus between revenue formula, a proper revenue formula, and appropriate remuneration for public officers. It's sad. They know that the cause of poverty in Nigeria actually has to do with the low performance at the local governments, especially local governments and states. If you make both, arms of tiers of government, if you make them work more efficiently, so they will reduce, there will be less borrowing, there won't be need for, because when we look at Nigeria's debt, it's actually not just the federal government, it's also debt owed by states. Look at Kaduna State, just got a loan, was it $23.5 million from Kuwait, for out of school children. Those are the things that actually balloon our debts. It's not just the federal government. So what we need to do now is to improve the purchasing power. Because even if you say, okay, for instance, that the president should be earning, you say, okay, how can the NNPC, GMD, and all of that, Governor of Central Bank, be earning maybe 5 times what the president is earning, blah, 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 or all that? It will be meaningless if the purchasing power remains low. So even if you say the president should earn 20 million naira a month, it will be meaningless. Because let me tell you, the president has 17 allowances available to him outside his salary. The basic salary is 500,000. So when you put everything together, you will just find out that it's meaningless. I'm telling you, the only benefit that will come from it is the tax, the personal income tax payable to the FCT you get from an increased remuneration, for the president and others. Where you calculate it. But what will it amount to? So that is why we've talked about doing something about the minimum wage. It's too low. At 70,000 naira, it's just $50. What can he buy? He can't buy anything. He can't even sustain one person. Not to talk of a family. So the government needs to get its priorities right. One. Two, that agency, RMAFC, should be scrapped. I've said it many times. It's just duplicating the functions of the Office of Income, Salaries and Wages. It's duplicating the functions of that office. It's also duplicating the functions of National Assembly. As a state agency, the things it's doing are the functions of, Ministry of National Planning. You have the Ministry of National Planning. What are they? The Ministry of Budget and Planning. So what is the RMAFC doing concerning revenue allocation? When the Ministry of National Planning, actually has all the parameters, to determine all of these things. You have the National Bureau of Statistics. This RMAFC is also dabbling into the job of National Bureau of Statistics, because the Bureau the Bureau collates information about the economy, about developments in the economy. So for me, it's wrong to have, different salaries, different remunerations, different bodies fixing remunerations in the same economy. For how long? How far do these people want to push the people before things just get out of hand? This insensitivity is even rankling. Even among them, there are people in government who are saying, what is wrong with what is happening? These people just set up, problems for the government, and it's wrong. The previous chairman, Haman, that was his own fixation, was on fixing hardship allowance for the president and vice president. 50% of their salary. Then constituency allowance. Can you imagine? President and vice president, they get constituency allowance, 250% of their basic. What kind of a thing is this? Why are we bleeding the economy like this? Are we not ashamed? Are we not ashamed? It's leadership, not about service. Is it about going to make 1 naira or 2 naira and all that? Come on, this is so shameful. The agency should just drop that nonsense. And if they are capable of thinking beyond mundane pedestrian things, then let the agency be disbanded and scrapped. Thank you.
It's actually very shameful, Emeka, and to see a situation where current ministers are living lives of profligacy. The current minister of power just launched his mansion. Some people say it's worth billions of naira. That's Adelabu. And one would ask, where did he get all the money from? People have assumed that he was rich before he came into office. But of course, the truth remains, where did the minister of power get such money from to build $1 billion worth of homes in different parts of the country? But let's take a look at other matters from the Punch newspaper, Emeka. The CDS 2027 polls behind surge in killing. Emeka, is the current CDS, Christopher Musa, not a man of excuses? We have never come to a level where we have experienced our military heads taking so much excuses. It's actually really not sounding fine. Don't you think so? Because how can 2027 polls be the reason for the surge in killings? Explain to us, please.
I've never been a fan of General Musa, Chris Musa, because I feel he says things that, he cannot explain, things he cannot, back up with facts. And so he ends up embarrassing the top echelon of the Nigerian military establishment, otherwise. So sometimes, you see, it's not just about talking. Sometimes people may make certain statements and say, but he should know he's in the security establishment. But when you ask him to base it, to back it up with facts, he can't produce the facts. Look, we are not just having a surge in killings. I don't understand what that means. Insecurity has remained a serious problem. The people that are being killed are not the elite. 50 people killed in a mosque in Katsina State. None of them. I don't think there's any of them who's, I don't think it's the 50. Even if there's any politician among them, it's not the 50 of them. You go to different places where you have insurgency here and there. How many politicians have been killed? So what have the killings got to do with 2027? By the way, how many people are even contesting for offices in 2027? How many? So when you just draw this kind of alarm, it falls flat on its face. So the clear basic thing is this: don't come. I would just advise General Chris Musa, don't come and raise the BP of Nigerians. If there is a problem, quietly solve it. Quietly deal with it. You've seen the DSS, the DG of the DSS. When we met with him at the conference of Nigerian Guild of Editors in Enugu, in June, he was saying that they adopted a less visible approach. That let Nigerians judge them by their works. Let Nigerians judge them by their actions, by their achievements. So that's why that the DSS doesn't have a visible spokesman. Because I said, by the way, why should the DSS have a visible spokesman? So that, and then you've seen, look at the recent times, look at the achievements of DSS. They were able to, in conjunction with the military, get the alleged leaders of Ansaru and a terror group affiliated to Al Qaeda. So those are the things I will advise General Chris Musa to do. Let your achievements speak for you. The other time you said we need to fence the borders. We need to do, all of those things are just knee-jerk reactions. You're expecting me, an ordinary citizen, to tell you what to do about your job? The key thing is this: the economy is in a bad shape. Like a former Inspector General of Police, oh my God, forgotten his name. A former Inspector General of Police said that crime in Nigeria is, basically, MD Abubakar, yes, is basically being, pushed by socio-economic factors. There's a lot of hunger in the land. Millions of Nigerians are unemployed. People cannot meet their basic needs. Prices of things, are high. Rent is, expensive. School fees, expensive. Transport is expensive. Feeding is expensive. A pot of soup now, averagely, costs about 7,000 naira. Between 7,000 and 15,000 naira. The National Bureau of Statistics said it. I'm not the one saying it. So when you have a society where the purchasing power, even if you're earning 100,000 naira a month, it cannot take you home in the real sense of it. So when you have a poor economy, you have crumbling infrastructure, you don't have regular power supply, when even your best efforts at going into business can be wiped out, by a whimsical, reckless government policy, what do you expect? Those who are not resilient enough to, continue pushing, may not even have the means to continue pushing. The easy alternative will be a recourse to crime. And that is what is going on. It has nothing to do with 2027 election. 2027 is still more than a year away. So it has nothing to do with the elections. what it has to do with is that General Musa is dodging, is running away from, is that the economy is bad. Purchasing power is low. Things are horrible. Things are bad. That is the truth. Things are bad. So in such a situation, people can do anything to survive. Yes, they are stealing children. People are stealing children, babies, and selling them. People, kidnappers are selling people, selling people into slavery, cutting people into pieces and selling their parts. They will tell you it's ritual killings. And nothing like that. It's organ harvesting. They're selling, people's organs and all of those things. People are doing all kinds of atrocious things. Why? Out of desperation. Because the economy is bad. So it's not about 2027 polls. The clear and present danger right now is that purchasing power is low. Do you know it's so bad? Let me just quickly drop this. That because the CFA, which is being used by 17 Francophone countries, 4 of whom are Nigeria's neighbors, 4 or 5 of whom are Nigeria's neighbors, the CFA is now performing better than the Naira. So I learned that car dealers in these countries around Nigeria are now coming to Nigeria to buy used cars, take them over there to retrofit them, work on them, and, sell them at higher prices. So when things are so bad, don't look for far-flung excuses. You have the issues before you. Tell the politicians to govern the country better, and then it will be easier to contain crime. Thank you
very much, Emeka, because all of the things you have just enumerated now are so very glaring. Little wonder one would ask if those in charge of some of them are really desirous of making things work, if they are intentional really about some of the things that you just talked about. But Emeka, let's still go to leadership yet again. We have from the Guardian newspaper for today, Alaafin versus Oni, old war part for a new entrant. And just a carryover from that, we have it still from the Punch newspaper. UK recognizes Alaafin as Yoruba supreme ruler. That's who now? Onwade tells Oni. Emeka, this rift between two traditional rulers, so don't you think it is becoming a bit disturbing? We never thought that in the southwest of Nigeria that we would have this. Is this as a result of young people, millennials, who do not understand the sacredness of this two being given the opportunity to head them?
See, in any given society, any organic society, you must have conflict. There's no doubt about that. So we shouldn't be surprised that people, like husband and wife, fight. The tongue and the teeth fight. So the traditional rulers are having a misunderstanding. Shouldn't come as a surprise to any. What we need to do is to appeal to them as traditional rulers, as leaders of thought, to kindly resolve their issues, within, established mechanisms. There's the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria. Yes, it's headed, I think, by the Sultan of Sokoto, and I think co-chaired by the Oni of Ife, if I'm not wrong. Now, I think within that National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria, they can resolve such an issue. And what is the issue? That the Oni gave a title to a Yoruba, an illustrious Yoruba man, who has done well in business, Okolomo one of Yoruba land. And that is where the contention is, that the Alaafin is saying that the Oni doesn't have the right to give such a title, covering Yoruba land and all of that. And and so opinions have been, divergent. Then, now the Alaafin came out to say that UK recognizes, that is, I think, looking back to where UK had suzerainty, over some component parts of Nigeria in what at that time was referred to as Yoruba land. Well, be that as it may, I think these issues should be easily resolved so that we have clear and pressing issues. We have serious problems. So all this to me, just, with due respect to both traditional, is a distraction. All of these things will not put food on the tables of their people, and for those who have been, stoking the fire, pouring petrol, I think they should be more sensible. Two fathers are fighting and you are clapping or you are insulting one of them. It shows that you don't even understand. You lack self-awareness. So they lack self-awareness of who they are. A properly brought up child, a son or daughter, does not clap when his father and his friend's father are quarreling. Rather, you try to beg them, please. These matters be resolved, in a more matured way. That to me, will be more helpful. Something like this came up years ago, when the Oni at that time was to confer a title on a former Minister of External Affairs, Chief Tommy Kimi. There was one title he was to give him, something of Yoruba land, and it brought contention. The title was later dropped. So I feel that, these things can be resolved. The governors of both states, Osun and Oyo states, can actually, step into this matter. Even though the governor of Osun state is out of the country, but they can step into this matter and call both traditional rulers together, and see how this thing can be ironed out. It's not good. You see some of the comments I've seen people making. It's not right. It's not right at all. It's not right. We should not denigrate our traditional institutions, because two monarchs are fighting. It doesn't speak well about it, because the world is watching. So when people want to do research about African traditions, about African traditional institutions, they will refer to these things. That's one thing our people don't even know. They will refer to these things. They will do a poll of comments online, and they use it to draw impressions about us. Are we trying to tell the world that, we enjoy, we don't count respect for traditional institutions as part of our values? I won't be part of that. Thank you.
Circle, let's move to the religious circle, and still from the Guardian newspaper. Catholic bishops threaten to dismiss politically inclined clerics. Emeka, I love to feel that this is a welcome development, given how that some members of that sect, especially under reference, the governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Alia, has underperformed grossly, according to people who have seen and witnessed and equally have observed his leadership style. One would have thought that a cleric should understand the needs of the people. A cleric should be able to connect the dot. A cleric should know that service to humanity is most important than whatever interest that he has. But on the part of Governor Hyacinth Alia, is the opposite of the case. Don't you think this is a welcome development from Catholic bishops, setting this as a precedent, such that they wouldn't have one of them deface a whole lot?
Well, for me, I think we need to separate the facts. Alia is a politician, so he has put aside his cassock and jumped into partisan politics. So he will be judged by his actions, not by his cassock.
Emeka? Yes. Once you are a Catholic priest, you remain a Catholic priest, right? So if you have whatever affiliation, you have to totally renegate.
I was heading to somewhere. The Catholic Church was there when he decided to join partisan politics and run. They didn't come out to denounce it. If you remember, as at 1992, the same Benue State, Moses Adasu, who was also a Catholic cleric, ran for office and became the governor of Benue State under the Social Democratic Party at that time. The Catholic Church didn't say anything. They didn't denounce him. So for me, look, since you kept quiet when he decided to drop his cassock and go into politics, then what the people you can actually speak to are actually those who are fervent. I don't want to mention names, but some Catholic priests have now become such they have become champions of politicians. And when you come into a church, you have people of different persuasions. Whether you call any religious setting, you have people of different persuasions, people from different political parties. It is not common sense will actually tell you to moderate your views, not to be seen as partisan, but to be seen as somebody speaking to the issues, somebody appealing to the leaders to make things right, to do things better. Somebody appealing to the leaders and the followers to make the country better. Or you shouldn't be seen to be stoking the fire of division, stoking ethnic flames and all of those things. You should be seen as somebody, as a kind of a mediator, in between the different interests, pushing for peaceful coexistence, pushing for good governance and good followership. Because we cannot lay the blame only at the doorsteps of those who are leading, those who are following. If they are not fit and proper citizens, then those in leadership will have a difficult time doing their job. So it should not be only to Catholic priests. It should be to priests wherever they are, clerics wherever they are, to be encouraged to be neutral. Try to be neutral. Some of them have actually even jumped into tribal bigotry, which is very sad. Making certain comments, castigating certain injuries, even using biblical references. It is shameful. It is shameful. You even see what some even do. I mean, the way they turn their religious organizations into money-making ventures. It should not be. This should be unacceptable. So it's not just about the Catholic Church. It speaks to all who call themselves men of God, clerics. They should take note that their duty is to point people to God, not to point people to one politician or one political party or the other. They should caution themselves. And then Christian Association of Nigeria, Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, and allied bodies, do not sit quietly and just be watching all of these things. They should act. They should do something about these things. Because it's sad that politicians have actually desecrated every veritable national institution. They've gone into everywhere, taking their poisonous politics, into every sphere. This should not be allowed. This should not be allowed to continue. Men and women of good conscience should speak up and say no longer, no more. And I think we need a saner society, not a society where people just count, partisanship as a value. It is personal to you. Your religious persuasion is personal. Your political leaning is personal. But when you are thrust into a position of leadership, in a sensitive setting like a religious organization, I think you need to moderate your views. You need to control yourself so that you will have that respect that people expect from you. It's the same thing with traditional rulers. You see, traditional rulers have now become puppeteers, have not become, puppets of a politician. Traditional rulers that should be neutral, they've become puppets of politicians. Now, they are trying to drag civil servants again into politics. Yes, I know that the appeal court in 2019 said civil servants can participate in politics, so that we can finally just destroy everything that Nigeria is standing on. Come on, this is not acceptable. We need to rein in ourselves. It is not right. It is not right. Thank you.
Greatly on this particular matter. I love to believe the clarion call is not just to the Catholic priest, but clerics, wherever you find yourself. Your duty is to ensure that your life speaks in the things that you do. These people, these pockets of people should be a reference point. But unfortunately, when the same people everyone look up to are not in tandem with whom they believe in, works with, then there's a very big problem. Emeka will still be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. NNPCL reports a strong July performance with 185 billion naira profit and project gains. It's still Enterprise Friday. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Where they pour, why you know they bring and come here?